morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a good old look at the most expensive cards from Scarlet and Violet and Paldea Evolved. Really what we're doing here is we are looking at the Scarlet and Violet era, but we're not including Obsidian Flames. And the reason we're not including Obsidian Flames is really simple. It's not out yet. We don't have enough information. Yes, we're looking at full art cards here. The most expensive full art cards, supporters and Pokemon mashed together. And look, we all know Charizard is coming in Obsidian Flames. So it's going to be on the list, right? It's going to be on the list. However, it is not on the list yet because we don't know exactly where it's going to fall. And it would be, I think, a little bit irresponsible to go ahead and just kind of put it on the list this early. Don't think it's right, ladies and gentlemen. Don't think it's right. So we're not doing it. Sorry about that. What we are doing is a list of top 10 full art cards. So in at number 10 at $6 is Gardevoir. Now, one of the themes, and it does fall apart a little bit, I'm sorry about that, but generally speaking, a lot of these cards are extremely cheap. Gardevoir is a very popular Pokemon, one of the most popular Pokemon, and Gardevoir is also an extremely playable card. One of the best decks in the format. It's got that ability to let you attach a basic Psychic as often as you like from your discard pile to a Psychic Pokemon, at the cost of putting 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. And this is really the engine for a whole deck, and we love this Gardevoir, ladies and gentlemen. This Gardevoir is a very, very good Gardevoir. It sees a whole bunch of play, and yet it's coming in at number 10 at $6. Now, coming in at number 9 at a whopping $7, we've got the full art of Penny. Now, this is just an excuse to mention the Okacheke Penny, a card I absolutely adore. Do have the English version, which is delightful to me. Don't have the Japanese version, and given the price of it, excellent chance I may never have it. Never mind. The point is, this full art is not that, but it's still a cool card. Penny is still a very popular character from Gen 9. It's still a decent card unless you put a basic Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. And you've still got a popular character along with a playable card, which absolutely explains how it gets onto the list. But it is lower down the list in at number 9. In at number 8, we've got Boss's Orders Getsis, which also comes in at $7. Some of these are going to look like they're tied in terms of value, and I suppose in a way they are. Please know I have looked at TCG Player, but I've also gone and had a look at a bunch of other websites and eBay and all of that, and I have made sure that I've essentially done the tiebreakers here. So even though it's going to look like some of these are tied, and in a way they kind of are, I have at least gone and made sure that we've got them in the right order. So Boss's Orders Getsis comes in at number 8 at $7. And look, Boss's Orders is still one of the very, very best cards in the game right now. It lets you grab one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and drag them into the active, so you can attack Pokemon that are on your opponent's bench. Bearing in mind, you can generally only attack the active. Getsis is a very cool character from the best Pokemon generation. I will not be taking questions on this point. And there are other full art Boss's Orders cards. There are a bunch of them at this stage. Feel free to choose which one you prefer. For me, Getsis is cool. This is a lovely one, and I understand exactly how this ends up on the list. In at number 7, at $7, we've got Tinkaton EX. Now look, I seem to be in the minority here. I don't like the design of Tinkaton. My 5-year-old daughter saw the design of Tinkaton for the first time the other day. She was enamored. She loves it. I'm not loving Tinkaton. Tinkaton weirds me out. Although I did use Tinkaton in my playthrough of Pokemon Scarlet, my second run through the game as a whole. I played Violet first. And Tinkaton's a cool Pokemon. Great on my team. But, yeah, the Pokemon weirds me out. The thing is, you know, as a card, it's not that playable. 2 energy, 30 for each card in your hand. It's interesting, and I know a bunch of people are trying to make it work. It's not working, ladies and gentlemen. It's not working. It's just not placing at tournaments. But a lot of people love Tinkaton. And a lot of the time, when we're looking at these lists, and we're looking at the most valuable cards, this is your answer. It's not a terribly playable card. I'm not a particularly fan of the artwork, honestly. People just love Tinkaton, and this is a cool version of Tinkaton. And there's your answer, ladies and gentlemen. There's your answer. In at number 6, we've got the full art of CHIEN-PAO. And this one does make perfect sense to me, because CHIEN-PAO is an extremely playable card. It's got a lovely ability that lets you, when it's in the active, search for 2 basic water energy and put them in your hand. You then combine that with Baxcalibur, that lets you attach as much water energy during your turn as you like. You then go back to CHIEN-PAO, who's got the attack Hail Blade, lets you discard any amount of water energy from any of your Pokemon, dealing 60 damage for each one discarded, and round we go. It's kind of interesting, and it's a legendary Pokemon. People like the legendary Pokemon, but mostly here it's a playable card, and it's a cool version of a playable card, and there's your answer. In at number 5, we've got Professor's Research Sada coming in at $9. And this is a similar kind of thing to what we said about Boss's Orders. This is not the only full art Professor's Research we've got. It's just whether you prefer it to the others. Now, personally, I just told you how Gen 5 was the best gen. Juniper. There is a full art Juniper. So if you're going full art, in my opinion, you should be going full art Juniper. But I know not everybody agrees with me, and that's okay. Sada comes on the list because people like Sada more than the others. Professor Turo, the other full art Professor's Research in the same set, nowhere near. Nowhere near. As a nice little example, I've told you that this is coming in here, the Professor Sada, coming in at number 5 at $9. Professor Turo is nowhere near the list. It's like a $3 card. People like Sada more than Turo. That's just the way it is. That's why it's treble the value and it makes the list. Brilliant supporter, discard your hand, draw 7, sees a bunch of play in a bunch of decks. It's another one that's been legal for years, and all the indications we have are that it's going to remain legal for years to come. So it's absolutely worth picking up a playset of your favourite full art Professor's Research. But also there are a bunch of options at this stage, so if a card's going to attract any value as a full art Professor's Research, it's going to have to beat out all the others. Now, in at number 4, we've got Arcanine EX coming in at $12, and this is what's weird to me. Because the full art Terra EXs from Scarlet and Violet both make this list, the other one's coming up in a moment. The full art Terra EXs from Paldea Evolved, no, nowhere near. There's 3 in the set, nowhere near. The highest placing one is Slowking, which is like a $4 card, which, as you've seen, brings it nowhere near this list. I wish I could give you a better answer as to why the full arts from Scarlet and Violet are making the list, but the full arts from Paldea Evolved aren't. I don't have a good explanation. It's one of the fun things about doing this video. You find out weird facts like that I then get to share with you lovely ladies and gentlemen, and it doesn't really make any sense. None of these cards are particularly playable, the Terra Pokemon, and the pull rates are basically the same. What I will say is Arcanine's from Gen 1, and people love Gen 1, and maybe that's the answer, because I'm telling you now, Arcanine EX is not a playable card. Speaking of which, the next card on the list, in at number 3, is Gyarados EX at $15, and basically everything I just said about Arcanine you can say about Gyarados. I don't know why it's this high on the list. It's not a playable card. I don't understand why, some Scarlet and Violet. I don't understand why the Scarlet and Violet ones are on there, but Paldea Evolved aren't. Except for the fact that Gyarados is a Gen 1 Pokemon and people love Gen 1. That is the only explanation I can give for Arcanine and Gyarados here. They're Gen 1 Pokemon and people love Gen 1. Because they're no rarer than the ones in Paldea Evolved. They're not really any more playable than the ones in Paldea Evolved. People just love them Gen 1. Now, in at number 2, we've got Miriam coming in at $17. And look, we all know that in Scarlet and Violet, the big card, the number 1 card in that set in terms of value, was the special illustration rare Miriam. This is not it. This is not on the same level. But it's still a very cool card. It's still a card we like very much indeed. It's still a playable card that lets you put 5 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck and draw 3 cards. That's kind of cool. It's still a nice card in terms of, it's Miriam and the artwork's lovely, but it's miles away from the special illustration rare, which is about a $50 card. And in parallel with that, in at number 1, we've got Iono, which is a $40 card. Yes, it's more than double the number 2 card on this list. And basically what I just said about Miriam totally applies to Iono. It is the full art of Iono, but it is not a patch on the Special Illustration Rare. Special Illustration Rare is about a $100 card right now, this one's sitting at about $40. But Iono is an extremely popular character, and this is one of the best cards in the game right now. When it's played, both players shuffle a hand, put it on the bottom of their deck, and if either player did that, then both of them draw cards for each of their remaining prize cards. Sounds good to me. C's playing a bunch of decks, it's decent for early game draw, it's good for disruption in the late game, and this was always going to be number one. It's going to remain number one because it's a very popular character combined with an extremely playable card, and that tells you basically everything you need to know. It really is as simple as that. It's miles above the rest, but it makes sense being miles above the rest. It's the only full art that's holding any real value. Like, if you go over the top, there's only the top 4 that are over $10, like Arcanized 12, Gyarados is 15, and Miriam 17. These cards are cheap, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking to be finishing your collection, picking up full art for any reason, this is a great time to do so. In these 2 sets, in Scarlet and Violet and Paldea Revolved, oh my word, these full arts are coming cheap, and I'm delighted. So there we go. That's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this, tell me which of these full arts you pulled, tell me which you've bought, tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Tamberlin, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.